I think it is so fun to watch like the two of them like interact and like the flirting that's going on between the two of them. Who knows what's going to happen the rest of the summer, but for right now, I'm really enjoying like Jesse 5 minutes into Summer House already like in love, in a relationship, planning his future with this girl he met 5 minutes ago. He loves her and you can't tell him any different. And everyone is just like, what the hell is going on? Like, there was one point where Kyle was like, do you love her? And he's like, well, I don't know. Like, she's super cool. Like, yeah, I love her. Like, it's just so funny. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. It's me, Larry. I hope you guys had an amazing week. I hope that you guys really enjoyed last week's episode with Mia and Molly. It was so much fun to have the girls on from Southern Hospitality, and hopefully we can get more people to come on the pod and get more guests for you guys, because that was such a blast and they gave us so much information. So much is going on right now, right? Like, we're being just fed shows left and right. Beverly Hills is amazing this season. Summer House, I mean, we're only on episode 2, but Chef's Kiss. Southern Charm is so good. Southern Hospitality is a 10 out of 10. Like, it's just, you can't beat, like, the stuff that is coming our way right now. And I love every single second of it. We are going to talk about Summer House today. But before we get into Summer House, I just wanted to talk about what's been happening over on TikTok with Southern Charm. So, obviously, if you're watching Southern Charm right now, a lot's going on. Like, Shep is in love with Sienna. He took everyone down to the Bahamas to go and see her. Like, it's just so crazy. And Sienna is taking to TikTok, and we're going to talk about what she's posted. All right, guys, so she went to TikTok and did like a 3-part series talking about how she met Shep and Whitney on Raya, and just kind of like how things like came to be, because it is kind of being portrayed differently on the show. Obviously, Whitney is saying that like she reached out to him first, and like before she then went after Shep, and that's just like not how it went down according to Sienna, and she is showing her receipts on TikTok. So I'm assuming she's saying all of this now because so many people, like, I mean, Cass included in interviews, I feel like, are calling her a fan of the show. And like, that's why she was talking or dating Shep, because she wanted to be on television. And it doesn't seem like that is the case after I listened to everything that she had to say. She says that she only had one like message conversation with Whitney. First, Whitney requested to message her on Raya, and he said, "Hey, how are you?" And she had just replied like, "I'm good, how are you?" That was the extent of the conversation that they had. They never said anything more, and the way that it came across is kind of like she was maybe like seeking him out, and that just like wasn't what it was. She then was talking to Shep on Raya, and they got to talking. He invited her to Charleston, and she liked the fact that he just seemed like this Southern guy who like loved to fish and like all this stuff. She said he was like very endearing. Well, Shep invited her to Charleston. She declined the offer, and I guess something happened where they ended up like meeting IRL and getting themselves into this weird predicament that they're in now on the show. Now, so many people are questioning, like, how does she, like, not know about the show? Like, she was on the show talking about how her grandmother is, like, the president of the Southern Charm fan club in the Bahamas. Now, is there a Southern Charm fan club down there? I don't know. I think she was just kind of saying it, like, trying to joke around, like she is just a big fan. Her grandma's just a big fan of the show. And she did address this in another TikTok where she did say that how it like came up that she was talking to Shep was her grandma and her like are super close, and she was at her grandma's one night and they were just talking about their dating life because they were both single. And so she had shown her grandmother a picture of Shep and was just like, oh, look, this is the guy that, like, I met and, like, I'm talking to. And her grandmother was like, oh, my God, that's Shep from Southern Charm. So she was like, yeah, he is on a reality TV show. Like, funny that, like, her grandmother, like, watches the show. So that's how all of that, like, came about. And Sienna was like, listen, I don't know what shows my grandparents watch. Like, I don't think anybody knows any characters from shows that their grandparents watch, which is true. Like, so many people were, like, in the comments, like, well, my grandmother watched such and such, and I don't know anyone from that show. Regardless, she was setting the record straight. I believe her as to, like, why would she, like, have to lie about this? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like something really, like, weird to lie about. And I won't, like, act like I thought that the entire time, because I most certainly did think that she was with him for, like, a few minutes of fame, up until yesterday. Like, but I don't think she needs to say anything else about it. Like, if she's going to continue, I mean, if it's going to continue on and people are going to be, like, bashing her online, like, of course, I think that she should be, like, given the opportunity to, like, give her side of what is going on. If she's going to do that on TikTok, then I'm 100% going to be watching along and posting about it. But I think based off of a majority of the comments in, like, the post that I had, like, reshared of her sharing her experience on meeting the guys, a majority of people are very much like, girl, we believe you. Like, we didn't doubt you. You don't need to show receipts. We like all of this stuff. So it was just interesting to see that all of a sudden on a random Wednesday night, she just decided to take to social and talk about it. But we'll get more into Southern Charm next week and, like, dive into, like, everything, because I feel like we haven't talked about it that much. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is Wednesday night's Summer House. So let's head to the Hamptons. All right, guys, Summer House is back. Thank God. I have missed these Hamptons hotties so much. I was obsessed with the premiere. I think it was, like, the perfect premiere to, like, set up kind of, like, dynamics in the house at the beginning of summer. Obviously, everyone is back. We have Gabby, we have Ciara, Lindsay, Paige, Amanda. We have the newbie, Lexi. We have Carl, Jesse, Kyle, West. We have Imral, who's coming in next week. And then we have Bailey with the girls. But so many people have been talking about Bailey. Yes, she was in the first 2 episodes. I don't think we're going to see much of her this season. I think, now don't take this as my word because I don't 100% know. I think they may have cut her out for something that may have happened based off rumors that I've seen online. But as of right now, she's on the show. Not a big presence, but she's there. Ciara did an interview and was like, she's a lot of fun. Like, I really liked her, whatever. Obviously, we still have some existing drama going on. We have the stuff between Ciara and West, and they got into it in Wednesday night's episode. We have stuff going on between Lindsay and Carl. We have, like, just so many, like, dramatic kind of dynamics already going on at the start of the season, and I'm here for it. And you guys know, like, Summer House, like, that's my girl, and they're delivering already, and it's only episode 2. So, at the beginning of episode 2, Carl arrives, right? Now, obviously, at the premiere, we had Lindsay announce her pregnancy, and she did this whole entire timeline of her career on Summer House that led her to this moment. She went year by year. 8 years ago, this happened to me. 7 years ago, this happened to me. 6 years ago, this happened to me, etc., etc. To the point where she announces her pregnancy, and she has this billboard, like, sonogram photo that is on the mantle. Carl comes in the next morning after she announces it, and he's nervous. I mean, rightfully so, right? He doesn't know what to expect. He doesn't know how she is, like, right now with everybody. I mean, they haven't talked, so it is, like, expected for him to be nervous. He's talking to production like he doesn't know how to handle her, like, what's going on. And so initially he just avoided her. Like, he didn't even, like, he said hello to everybody in the group. Now, they were all by the pool. He said hello to everybody individually, but didn't acknowledge, like, Lindsay, and she was sitting in the water, like, on a floaty. A little uncomfy, but I think everybody is, like, understanding of the situation between the two of them, so they weren't going to make it a big deal at the time, which, good. I mean, could you have imagined if someone would have been like, what about me? Or if Lindsay would have been like, oh, hey, Carl, like, I'm here too. But no, I'm glad that they are mature enough to, like, not acknowledge it and maybe give them the time to acknowledge each other on their own, like, when they're ready. I loved to see it. Now, a little bit later in the episode, we did get a comment from Gabby where she was like, asking what Carl was even doing in the house. And she had said something like, why is he even here, like, with his big teeth and his non-alcoholic lover boy? Like, just all of these things. And in her confessional, she even said, like, and I can say the same for Lindsay too, like, questioning why the both of them would decide to come back and share a summer house with each other based off of everything that they have gone through. And I can tell you this. The check, girl, that's why they are there. Like, this is their job. Like, for as much as they're probably making now, they're on season 9, so I'm sure it is a good chunk of change. You can put me in a summer house every weekend for 2 or 3 months with my ex, and I would gladly interact or try to avoid and interact with when needed. But it was just interesting for her to, like, say that, like, why did he decide to come back? Why did she decide to come back? That's why. I'm assuming it's for the check, right? This is their job. So it made sense. It made sense to me. Now, obviously, they're like, the boys don't really, like, make Carl sit around the house. They're all going to lunch. And it was nice to see. Like, it was good to, like, okay, get Carl away from the group so he doesn't have to always be around Lindsay. I'm sure Lindsay appreciated not having to, like, spend the entire morning, like, early afternoon around Carl. But what I do like is they're kind of catching Carl up to speed on, like, day 1, right? Because Carl comes in the second day. And obviously we all know there's something going on between Jesse and Lexi. In my opinion, I think it is so fun to watch, like, the two of them, like, interact. And, like, the flirting that's going on between the two of them. Who knows what's going to happen the rest of the summer. But for right now, I'm really enjoying, like, Jesse 5 minutes into Summer House already, like, in love, in a relationship, planning his future with this girl he met 5 minutes ago. He loves her, and you can't tell him any different. And everyone is just like, what the hell is going on? Like, there was one point where Kyle was like, do you love her? And he's like, well, I don't know. Like, she's super cool. Like, yeah, I love her. Like, it's just so funny. Now, it's not going to last. I can tell you that much, because you can tell based off of the trailer that, like, things kind of get a little murky as the season goes on. But for right now, it's good. So we get, like, a confessional of Wes talking about Jesse and Lexi, and kind of just, like, almost, well, no, he pretty much is saying, like, I made this mistake last summer, so, like, be careful. But I also think Wes is a little bit bummed that, like, his boy found love or, like, a crush so quick, and he, like, is now gonna lose his friend to this girl, so he's not gonna have his buddy to pal around with all summer. And listen, I mean, what are you gonna do in the Hamptons? Like, you guys can pal around and, like, go out, but, like, I'm sure Jesse's on a mission. Like, he's looking for girls, right? It is funny because Jesse posted something yesterday, and he's going on a brand trip, and he was like, oh, I thought there were going to be hot girls on this brand trip, but, like, he ended up, like, being with, like, this other, like, male influencer. And that's just his personality, right? He's got girls on the brain, as many guys do, but it is what it is. And I love the back and forth between Jesse and Lexi, and I think it's cute, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I mean, we do get a brief moment of Bailey talking to the girls about her relationship. And again, I wouldn't get too invested in Bailey. Yes, we are seeing her now, but I'm assuming because she's just there because she was initially, like, I'm assuming they were just like testing her. Like she was initially supposed to be on the show. So she got there weekend 1, and that's why we're seeing her on the first 2 episodes. And people were like, well, she's not in the promo, or she doesn't have a cast photo, any of this. It's because you're not going to see her for that long. Now, there are rumors swirling in regards to why she is not on the show. And I don't know the exact reason. I mean, they sound kind of like they could be truthful. I mean, I saw one that said, like, she got busted going back and giving people information about the show while they were filming. I don't know. That's all like alleged. Like, who knows? Maybe she just didn't like it. I don't know. We do hear that she was like talking about this like situationship that she was in, and the guy was kind of giving her a hard time about like going to do the show. Maybe she just decided it would be like worth her time to pursue that. Who's to say? But we're not going to get too invested in her right now. Who knows how much more she's going to pop up as the like summer goes on. Obviously, Imrul is coming in next week. So if it were my guess, Imrul is taking over Bailey's spot. Like he'll take her room. But I mean, I don't know. We're going to have to watch and see. So the boys get back from their lunch with Carl, and it was funny because in the car ride, Jesse like saw that he got a DM from Lexi, and she had like sent him her phone number, so he instantly FaceTimed her. And the boys are going crazy. It is so funny because Jesse doesn't give 2 shits. He likes this girl. He wanted her phone number. He's calling her. He's like playing it. So I think he's playing it smoothly, and it's like very attractive and like endearing to see the way that he kind of like goes like his game. I like watching his game. So when he gets back to the house, he instantly goes back to Lexi's room to talk to her. And they have a great, like, heart-to-heart conversation. He tells her about his cancer journey, and she talks to him about her best friend that passed away last year. And it's just a great conversation. Like, he opened up to her so quickly. I died when that conversation led into them just making out. Like, he was like, oh, should we make out over it? Like, it was just like, how do you go from talking about all of this trauma to just making out in the bed? You know, good for them. It was bound to happen. So why not? You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm so excited to see how it goes up and then the downfall of this. Because they're obviously, like, there have been interviews between the two of them where they are not, like, obviously dating anymore. And I don't know what happened. It almost seems like Jesse may have been trying to chase Ciara and Lexi, and that kind of maybe left a bad taste in Lexi's mouth. I don't know. We're going to have to watch and see. What I did love, though, is that they get back from their lunch, and then finally Carl decides that he's going to approach Lindsay. And it was funny because the way that it had to happen is, like, Kyle was right there, and he was snapping at Carl, like, hey, yo, like, and Lindsay wasn't looking, but so he was, like, snapping and pointing, like, now's your time, like, say something to her. And Carl was sweating. Like, he was wiping his face down with a napkin. I'm sure it was from nerves and the heat, like the summer heat, but he does approach Lindsay and he does congratulate her on her pregnancy announcement, which was, I didn't know like how this was going to go. Lindsay did approach it like very like civilly, and she did say thank you, and she did make a statement saying, well, I did say last summer, like, who knows where I'll be this year? And they did a flashback of her saying, like, who knows where I'll be next summer? I could be pregnant. You know what I mean? So it was just, for where we are at in the show right now, it was nice to see that they could put everything aside to just have that moment of him saying, congratulations, her accepting it, saying she knows that it was awkward for him to have to come in and probably approach everything in front of a large group of people. And then she left. And as she left, she saw Kyle messing around with the speaker and says, Kyle, you're always eavesdropping when you're pretending to do something with the speaker. And his face was just like, you know what? You're not wrong. That is exactly what I was doing. I was listening to you guys. Listen, there's a moment later on in the episode where eavesdropping with Kyle gets brought up, and in that moment specifically, I am on Kyle's side with that, with that. But I just thought it was hilarious. Now, we get a moment between our favorite bed bugs, Ciara and Paige. And Ciara's in bed and she's telling Paige that she's scared of how much she doesn't want to be in the house. And she talks in a confessional about how she confided in West about issues that she was having with her family, and that's why she didn't spend the holidays with them. And then then they like stopped like talking after the reunion, and he went and did this New York Times article saying like, we aren't each other's person, and that like really hurt her. And don't forget, guys, Ciara went from filming the reunion. She did like Summer House. She filmed the reunion. And then she went to film Traitors where she had no access to her phone until she left to come back from Traitors to go into filming Summer House. So really she had not much time to process everything that was going on. So of course, when she gets back from Traitors, she sees like everything that's going on. The New York Times article where he's talking about her, all of this stuff. So rightfully so, she's pissed. And she now is at the point where she is going to be able to address it when she sees him. And she's going to do exactly that. And I do not blame her one bit. That dinner was a beautiful disaster. God, the family dinners that they have on Summer House are absolutely insane. So the group sits down for this dinner. It looks like Carl made tomahawk steaks. Everyone was like so like ready for this dinner. Lindsay did a cheers and she just said, "Thank you, Carl, for dinner." And it was just nice to see. My girl, Paige DeSorbo, she did a cheers, and she did a cheers to how mature they all are at the dinner. And how it's like only a little bit awkward. And West says something like, "This is the least awkward I felt like all day." And Paige was like, "I'm talking about you." Well, like alluding to the fact that it's awkward because of West, because he's making it awkward for Ciara. And Jesse acknowledged like Ciara and West sitting across from each other. And then he acknowledged Lindsay and Carl sitting on opposite ends of the table. And let me tell you, this dinner, messy Jesse was all over it. And I was dying. I'm happy that he did it, but I was also Gabby squirming in the chair. Give me a glass of wine. I can't believe this is all happening. She's falling out of her seat. That was me. I thought it was hilarious. So this is where it gets like it's getting crazy right now, because Paige says that Wes and Ciara can't even make eye contact. Kyle asks Ciara, "What do you think about Wes' hair?" And she said it sucks. And that's really where the conversation like popped off between Ciara and Wes. And I don't even think you can call it a conversation, because Wes didn't even say anything. He was mute, which pissed Ciara off even more. And Ciara had told him, "Keep the same energy you had in your article," especially the New York Times article, and said that he was a beta-ass man. He just wasn't keeping the same energy. Like, okay, you had all this to say into the press. It's like, insert that Nicki Minaj, Miley Cyrus moment. Like, this bitch has got a lot to say about me in the press. You know what I'm talking about? And then when you're in front of her, you are mute. Like, I get what she's saying. Just bring the same energy. And I want to say, like, props to Kyle as well, because this is where I was saying where his eavesdropping, like, thing came into play, because he says, like, "Why don't you just talk about it here? Because I want to know what you're going to say." Which, I mean, he's not wrong, because Ciara does say, like, no, he's not wrong. Like, you guys are all going to ask about it anyway. We might as well just talk about it right here and right now. And she does say that she thinks that it's a bitch-ass move to drop an article to reiterate that he doesn't like her. And he said that's not what it was supposed to be. Well, that's what it came out as. Wes does go on to say, like, he got so much backlash after the reunion and he was in, like, panic mode. So when someone asked him if he wanted to defend himself, he said yes and took the opportunity to do it. But here's the thing. And this is where a lot of people have said, like, he's so worried about the perception of everyone. He's not really, like, worried about the people that he is in these relationships with, like, on the show. And Ciara even told him at the end of the episode, like, these people don't know you or us. Like, you guys and me, we don't know them and their, like, actual relationships, what goes on in their real world. We take everything based off of what we see on television. And she's right. And the fact that he was so quiet about, like, everything, like, in front of her, it was weird. It was weird. But I can't say that I don't like I get why Wes did it. Like, I'm not defending him, but I understand why he did the article, because he felt like people were just kind of attacking him. I will say, at the end of this dinner, when they all went out, I do love the fact that they went out to the club and then they were back home at 11:30. The girls were back and Lindsay was like, listen, we like shook our titties for an hour and now it's time to go home. And I love that. I also love the fact that she's still going out to the club full on pregnant. And I think we're going to see hopefully a lot of Lindsay, like, still enjoying the parties and the social aspect of everything and not kind of, like, going and, like, being, like, a hermit in the room. Like, I feel like she wouldn't have come on the show if she didn't fully intend to go and, like, send it with the crew this summer. You know what I mean? So we get to the next morning and Ciara and Paige are in bed, and I love, like, the gossip session that these two have. And Paige had said something like, did you hear Lindsay last night, like, thanking Carl for dinner? Like, it was so, I was like, oh my God, thank God somebody mentioned it, because I was waiting for someone to say, like, what was that? And it was so funny because Paige made a statement as well saying, like, you would have to drug me to make me talk to someone that I was engaged to, about to be married to, like my ex-fiance, if she was in that situation. And Ciara was like, nope, heavy narcotics. Like, I totally agree with you. But it was just like, I love those morning after, like, gossip, like, conversations. Carl obviously made a nice gesture of going to get bagels for everyone. And Lindsay, again, like, thanked him for breakfast. And you see Paige's face, like, she did it again. Like, what? This is weird. Like, is that nobody else catching this? Like, it was just, like, one of those moments where, like, when I was watching it live, I, like, noticed it right away, the face that she made after Lindsay said thank you for the bagels. Like, I was like, oh, girl, I get you. Like, I'm right there with you. And if you get more awkward, like, situations with West and everything, he comes downstairs for breakfast and then he just instantly goes right outside to talk to the boys since all the girls were at the kitchen table. And I will say that he did make a comment where last summer he said he was able to go into whatever room he wanted in the house. And that is so accurate. I think everyone was so excited to have, like, young, fresh, like, new guys in the house. And everyone, including the audience, took to him, like, right away. I was a West, like, apologizer on his first season. He could do no wrong until, like, everything happened at the end. I was like, ew, like, pump the brakes on that one. But he's just, like, so concerned, like, about how everything is going to play out this summer. And I'm not surprised because in so many interviews that the cast has done leading up to season 9, all of them have said West was so quiet this summer. And this is why. Now we know why he was summer. He was nervous on how he would be able to kind of navigate situations. And he probably just didn't want to be, like, perceived, like, the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? Lindsay announces that she's leaving. She's not staying for the 4th of July party. And Carl could not be more relieved. And I'm assuming, like, the whole house maybe is like, okay, maybe like Lindsay was here night one. Now it's Carl's turn to kind of like loosen up a little bit and have some fun. But even Carl said, like, I'm starting back from the beginning. Like, I want to meet someone. I want to like date. So like not having Lindsay there for him is going to be so much easier for him to like just be himself around everyone. Will it get back to Lindsay? I'm sure. I don't like, does she care? Absolutely not. But we do get this moment at the end where West approaches Ciara in her room, and all he says is like, in the beginning is like, is this summer gonna be awful? Because you can tell he's like concerned about like how the summer's gonna be for him, which like rightfully so. And West continues to talk about how he's trying to figure everything out day by day. And this is where I'm assuming it's coming into play. Like he's trying to figure out like this fame thing day by day, like being like in the public eye and like having all these people fawn over him and having all these people come after him. And that is when Ciara had told him like he could have left everything between them at the restaurant when they spoke after the reunion, but he continued to do press. And he tells her like, if I knew like that would have been the case, like I would have done it there. But he kept saying people kept coming after him, and like he just like felt like he was getting attacked. And Ciara told him like he's riding the wave too hard, and again that people don't know him or them, and that when you are up, you're up, which is so true. Like he was so up last season and everyone was riding hard for him, and when you're down, they will knock you while you're down. And that's exactly what happened after the reunion. He was in one season, he went from the like number one guy to bottom of the totem pole. And so she is telling him like, again, these people don't know you. Like worry about your relationships in the house before you worry about perception from people that don't give two shits about you. And I couldn't agree with the way that she handled things any more than I already do. I think she handled it with perfection. And she ended it like in a confessional saying like, am I ever going to be friends with West again? Like, I don't know. The way that they ended the conversation before the party, it seemed like, okay, I think West probably felt like a little bit of weight lifted off his shoulders. So he feels good about going into the party. I mean, I'm sure he'll tell the boys, like I talked to Ciara, it was good. Hopefully we can move forward from that. And who knows what is going to happen between West and Ciara this season. I mean, we're going to have to watch and find out, and you better believe we will be here to talk about it. Guys, that is what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have friends that love Bravo, make sure that you are sending them the link to the podcast and inviting them over to the party. Make sure that you're rating, you're reviewing, you're following, like all the good stuff. And I will talk to you guys next week. Love ya.